Hi, hi, hello everyone. My name is Scott Patterson, and I am very, very pleased to be here on alternative venues for jazz. Thank you, Gail Boyd, for inviting me. It's an incredible honor um, to talk with you all in this half an hour period that we have. My name is Scott Patterson. I also go by Kojo Astronaut. I am a pianist, a composer, a filmmaker. I am a father and a husband. Um, and I am also the artistic director of Afro House in Baltimore. We are a music driven performance art house. What does that mean? That means we come up with projects and do whatever we can imagine. Imagination is at the heart of what we do. Um, Before I came on, I had some questions that were given to me, and I'm going to do the best I can to talk to you about it. The first question I got was, how did I get into jazz? Well, my first earliest memories of jazz, it was all over our house. Uh, my father loved jazz and played a lot of jazz records. In fact, um, one of the earliest things that I can remember is Art Blakey, Alamo. That album was always in our house. You know, and my sisters and my brothers, we knew that album front to back. All by heart. Just understood that that's what it was. Um, and my father used to always talk about that he used to be this great jazz bass player. And for years, growing up, he would talk about it. He would talk about his life in Chicago, playing jazz and everything, and playing in these bands. And nobody believed him. We did not believe him. We were like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. And one day, my mother is like, we're gonna buy your dad a bass. So we saved up for 2 years. We got him a bass, and come to find out, this man is a virtuoso, and he picked it up like he never put it down. And from then on, my brothers and sisters, we would get our instruments, and he would start playing jazz with us. And that's kind of how I got into it. And I started playing in bands and schools. In fact, giving honor to the late Ahmad Jamal, his passing a few days ago. My first tune that I remember was "Stolen Moments." I'm sitting at my piano, by the way. This is my home. You see, I'm surrounded by keyboards. Yeah, and we would play, and he would make us play even when we didn't want to. Most nights we're sitting around the piano and his bass playing music. Um, what was the first jazz album that I purchased on my own? Well, technically, the first album I purchased wasn't necessarily a jazz album. Um, I went to see the movie X with my father and my uncle and my brothers, and that soundtrack was so amazing. I bought it, and I was really into this group that was on the album Arrested Development. They had the song, I forget what the song was, but that's why I bought the album. And I would fast forward it past all the other stuff. Then one day, I was playing the album, and I decided I didn't feel like fast forwarding it, and I heard John Coltrane's Alabama for the first time, and that blew my mind. And then after that, was also on the album was Duke Ellington's Arabesque Cookie from his Nutcracker Suite. Whoo, man, that was just amazing, and beautiful. And so I guess that would be the first album that I bought that had jazz on it. And then, of course, from then I really started when I had money, I would buy other albums. Like I was getting into Monk and was getting into Mingus. Um, really had it, and of course Ellington. Those composers and their music as the compositions was something that really, really, really spoke to me. Um, Especially Duke Ellington. When I was little, when I was starting out in jazz, I always wanted to be Duke Ellington. You know, I had this whole thing that I was going to one day move to New York and live in Harlem, start my own band. I was going to be a band leader like Duke Ellington, and I was going to dress good and cool, in suits and walk around Harlem. I had this whole fantasy. I did actually make it to New York, and I did live in Harlem. I never got the suits thing down though. That never really happened for me. I mean, I am wearing this, which I really do like, but I'm trying to get there. I'm still working on it, Mr. Ellington. I'm still working on it. um, yeah, that was my upbringing. That was my upbringing in jazz, and I did, like I said, I did make it to New York. Um, I stopped off in Cincinnati first. I did my undergrad at the University of Cincinnati. I studied classical piano under Richard Fields, uh, master pianist who really helped me to really understand what it means to be a pianist, what it means to be an artist and hone your craft, um, be a virtuoso, to really study your instrument and study your sound. Um, and he's the one that got me to New York, and I finally made it to New York, and I went straight to Harlem, and I lived in Harlem for 10 years, and I walked around. I worked in Harlem. I formed my band. I played in some Afro-Cuban bands, and I love my time in Harlem. And this brings me to another question that we have was, what advice did I receive from an older musician? Who was that musician and what did they tell me? Well, I remember I had a really good friend in Harlem who actually grew up in Georgia. His name is Zach Pride, an amazing bass player. Um, he was really, really heavy into the jazz scene. I wanted to be in the jazz scene, but I really wasn't. I wasn't really doing a lot of jazz at that point in my life. But I love hanging out with him because he would take me to different clubs and different hangout spots and everything. And one night, Zach calls me up and he's like, "Hey man, there's a club right up the street. Some friends of mine are playing out there. Why don't we go check it out?" So I go, and it's Wynn Marcellus, and my Zach. He knew a lot of the guys in the band, and somewhere like after the set or something, they all went to the back to eat, and you know, I got to go in the back. And they're all sitting at the table, this big long table, and when Marcellus is sitting at the head of the table, and it was really cool, to be in a room like that, and they were talking and all this philosophy and all this discussion about the state of music, and I couldn't keep my mouth shut. I was trying to say, be quiet, just be in the room, be a fly on the wall, be quiet, and I couldn't hold my peace. And so I say to Whit Marcellus, I say, he's talking about the state of music. And I say, yo, but what do the people want, man? What do the people want? And Whit Marcellus says to me, man, the people want everything. The people want good music, they want bad music, they want okay music, they want jazz, they want everything. They want everything. There's no group, there's no music out there that people don't want. And I just loved that answer. I don't know if I understood what he was trying to say, but what I took away from that was, be you. You know, there's always a place for whatever it is you are doing, whatever kind of music you're trying to do. And that brings me to the next question I have on the dock is, what advice would I give to younger musicians to keep them encouraged? I would say, you know, what I got from Wynton Marcellus, Mr. Marcellus, is there's room. There's room in this world for you to be you. And search yourself, search your honest and true self of what that is. For so many years, I I only thought about what other people thought I should be doing. You know, what I felt was legitimate music, or what and for so long, I wasn't happy with what I was doing. Um, so and that's where I'm at now. I am 46 years old. I have a wife and I have two sons, and I have this company, Afro House. And Afro House is this place where finally I can do all those things that I really, really wanted to do. And I'm now just now starting to be the artist that I've always wanted to be. I'm playing the piano the way I want to play the piano, not necessarily the way my teachers growing up uh, told me that I'm supposed to play, or what I'm supposed to play. Um, I had a conversation recently with another musician, and classical musician, and they asked me, what's my favorite music to play? What kind of music do I play? And I was really trying to be honest and really think about it, and I wasn't trying to be, a jerk or anything like that. I was like, Patterson. Patterson is my favorite composer in music to play. Um, it's taken me 46 years to be able to get to that place where I can say that. And so now I play Patterson. What is Patterson? My art form that I have embraced at this point in my life is Afrofuturism. I am an Afrofuturist. Um, a lot of the work that we do at Afro House, a lot of the work that I do in my compositions with different ensembles is pertaining to this quest that I have to journey into the future. I am a futurist. Um, this suit that I'm wearing, it's a space suit. In my mind, it is anyway. And a lot of the work we do is pertaining to that. Um, we have three ensembles. One ensemble is called the Astronaut Symphony. The Astronaut Symphony is an ensemble that is made up of instrumentalists, it's made up of opera singers, it's made up of dancers, and we have been doing operas, we have been doing concerts, and now we're getting into this new project that we have. Afro House is doing this film, and so the Astronaut Symphony is now starting to make music for the film. And actually, while I was speaking on that, on May 5th, the Astronaut Symphony will be performing at the Reginald F. Lewis Museum here in Baltimore on May 5th. And we'll be doing music from our film, Cloud Nebula. What is Cloud Nebula? Cloud Nebula um, is a film that I've written a screenplay for, that I'm directing and producing along with my wife and producers Penelope Jackson and Toros Thomas. Um, it is an Afrofuturistic film. It is an Afrofuturistic sci-fi opera ballet film. In this film, we are using opera, we're using ballet, and it's about these people in the future trying to make it to the Cloud Nebula. And we've been working on it for several years now. It began as a theatrical production that we were doing at different stages, uh, and but I just had this need and this um, I don't know, to see it. I wanted to see it. I wanted to see it realized in a certain way that only film could do. And this began my journey in the film. So going back to my advice to younger people, in my head, back when I was running around in Harlem in my 20s, I thought about going into film. I imagined it, but I always told myself that's a pipe dream. That's not real. You've been doing piano all your life. How you didn't go to school for film, and I put it out of my mind. But life is funny. Life brings you back around to things, and so here I am, and I'm in this beautiful place, and we're making this film. I am a filmmaker now, and on top of composer and pianist, and all of these things are coming together. I am, of course, writing the music. I have been writing the music over the years, and also for this film composition. And it's a monstrous thing. It's a monstrous project that I'm very proud of, and I'm proud of the people and collaborators. I'm proud of my wife. I'm proud of my sons who are on this journey with us, and have also been putting their own blood, sweat, and tears into this project. Um, you know, I see this film as my great symphony. You know, it's like Beethoven and most. They have their big symphonies, and I feel like film is a symphony. All the different part components and parts that have to come together and be in sync and play in time in order to pull off this massive work. You know, and I feel like this film is that for me. It's a symphony. Um, and man, I gotta tell you, y'all, it's so much fun. It's so much fun to do, and it's also nerve wracking, and it's also scary. But today, I'm going to concentrate on how much fun it is, and I'm having a great time being an artist that I always wanted to be. Um, you know, we began our first film with Afro House. Our first film adventure was a film concert, a film performance of mine called Cultural Astronaut. And Cultural Astronaut, we filmed this last year, last January, I believe, and it is now being shown on Quelly TV. You can go to Quelly TV and see our film, and it's a film of me performing my Afro futuristic music um, in a project called Culture Astronaut. So you get a chance, go check that out. Um, Again, I'm proud of the team. I'm proud of the work that went into that. We're always trying to go to the other side of the galaxy. You know, um, the beautiful thing to me about Afrofuturism is that it looks at time and space from what I have come to feel is a very African way of being and seeing, is that time and space is not a straight linear line. It's circular, and and so it encompasses past, present, and future, all happening simultaneously. And so there's so many different aspects and colors and world building, and that's the thing in film and in general. As Black people, I feel like we're not in a whole lot of spaces, or enough spaces, in my opinion, where we get to world build. And I feel like Afrofuturism is a movement that that speaks to that, and that tries to get space in that, whether it's film, music, whether it's theatrical, where it was written word, literary word, any type of space, where African people are having creating space for themselves to dream and think about the future. And it's a powerful movement. It's a revolution, and I'm very blessed to be a part of that. And also, um, just wanted to also give a shout out to another performance on July 15th. I'll be performing at Andi Music, just to put that out there. Um, so yeah, that's where we are with what we're going on. I'm really looking forward to Andi Music. I've been here in Baltimore now for 9 years, going on 10, and I've gone to many concerts on the music, and so it's a great honor to be able to perform there and see that place. Um, yeah, um, when we're there at Auntie Music, we're going to be again bringing in Culture Astronaut, and this time we'll be bringing it in with a trio. And I don't, honestly, I normally the jazz trio that I would be playing with would be bass player and drums, but I don't know. I think that I'm always constantly trying to discover and figure out what is the next musical sound. I'm always looking for the next musical sound um, with all of our projects. But so if you're in Baltimore, please don't hesitate. Come down to Andy Music, come down to the Reginald F. Lewis, and I hope to see you when I come into your town, whatever that town may be, to play and to talk and to have fun and to discuss the future. Um, I grew, speaking of the future, uh, I just want to say that, I grew up watching films like Star Trek and Star Wars and Dune and all of these films. And my parents are both mathematicians, and so they were always into sci-fi. They were reading books like Isaac Asimov, and that all this is all over the house, and that's what kind of gave I would see these imaginary worlds, these fantastical worlds, and all of that stuff made it into who I am as a person, as a composer, as a pianist, as a musician. So when you do come down to see the Reginald F. Lewis and come to these performances, that's what you're going to be seeing. You're going to be seeing a lifetime of dreaming, a lifetime of building, creating in this science fiction world. I'm so attracted to it. I'm attracted to the idea that of not being bound. So much in our creative process, we are told or we feel that we are bound to the rules of the world we live in. Sometimes as musicians, as jazz musicians, or whatever type of music you do, um, you have to stick to the way it's been. We all can have some understanding of that, and I guess that's why I was always attracted to futurism and sci-fi. It's like on this world, on this other planet, people fly, or, or they have three heads. I don't know, or they live on spaceships that can beam them down to another planet. They use the force. I don't know, but I love that, and I love that in music. I love that, um, especially looking at composers like Sun Ra, or looking at almost any composer. I think if you sit down with any composer throughout time, you probably run into some aspect of, yes, this is the way things are, this is the way things have been, but I need to build and create something new. I need to create a future, a new future, um, and that's what I've been attempting and trying to do, and that's what my life's purpose has been about: creating a new world, creating a new world in jazz, creating a new world in film, creating new worlds, um, in anything that I do. Um, I have two sons, and my job now as a father is to raise them, but to raise them and also to be out there in this world trying to make it a good place for them so that their future is a bright one. Um, I think that's all of our jobs. All of your jobs is to make a brighter future for my two boys and your children too. You know, um, so that is that is where I'm at. In my life. and that is where I'm at as a composer. That's where I am. Um, I am very, very thankful to uh, Gail Boyd Management and for this opportunity to be on this show. It was and to be on alternative venues for jazz. I hope that something I said either resonated with you or made you laugh or whatever, you know. But again, I'll be performing at the Original F. Lewis Museum in Baltimore on May 5th. I'll also be at Andy Music in Baltimore on July 15th. And I'm also on Quelly TV, Culture Astronaut. And then in next year, hopefully you will be seeing our film, Cloud Nebula. And I hope you all have a good evening and good night. Thank you.